The Galactic Union had long regarded itself as the pinnacle of civilization, spanning thousands of star systems. Its member species took immense pride in their advanced technology, peaceful governance, and complete mastery over interstellar affairs. To them, war was an archaic relic, a practice confined to primitive societies. Then something changed. They detected it. A lone warship emerging from the darkness of uncharted space, heading directly toward Union territory. Unlike anything ever encountered, this vessel was jagged and black as the void itself, emitting signals that triggered their system's alarms. Boldly emblazoned on its hull was a single name, Valkyrie. The first to spot it were the scanners. Aboard a Zelnari outpost, a deep space monitoring station on the Union's farthest edge. The Zari were a scholarly species, known for their unmatched ability to predict and preempt threats. Their technology could detect a comet 50 light-years away, chart its path, and assess any potential danger. But this ship, this human warship, threw their entire system into chaos. Alarms blared, AI threat assessment subroutines faltered, defensive protocols engaged automatically, shutting down all non-essential functions as if the station were already under siege. Administrator Relva, a veteran of countless research missions, watched in stunned silence as the data streamed in. The ship was enormous, twice the size of a Union dreadnought, but moved with the agility of a strike craft. Its hull was coated in unknown alloys that absorbed or deflected most scans, obscuring its armaments. Yet the readings they did obtain were terrifying. Energy levels far beyond any Union warship class. Kinetic projectiles capable of penetrating planetary shields, and an AI processing information faster than Union networks could track. This can't be right, Relva whispered, gripping the console edge. There must be a mistake. But there was no mistake. The moment Union High Command received the outpost's distress signal, panic erupted across hundreds of worlds. Defense fleets scrambled, orders flew, and diplomatic channels ignited in desperation. For centuries, humanity had been little more than a whispered legend, barbarians exiled from the galactic community and declared extinct due to their violent past. Yet here they were, and they were coming. The Valkyrie moved through space with terrifying precision. Unlike the sleek, elegant vessels of the Galactic Union, reliant on automated navigation and delicate gravitational drives, this ship propelled itself with raw mechanical force. Every thruster burst sent ripples through the void, a monstrous machine bearing the weight of a species long thought lost. Within the Zari outpost, chaos reigned. Every attempt to communicate with the warship was met with silence. Scans returned, fragmented, scrambled, or incomplete. It was as if the ship wanted to announce its presence, but nothing more. "Send the first contact protocol," Relva ordered. "We need to know if they come in peace." Tas, a young Zari, communications officer, hesitated. "Sir, the ship isn't responding to hails. It's still coming, fast." Relva turned to the holographic display, where a real-time projection of the Valkyrie loomed like a demon in the dark. It was close, too close. Within minutes, it would enter the range of their defense grid. Then the warship did something that sent a wave of primal fear through every watcher. It slowed. It wasn't charging recklessly as an attacking fleet might, nor drifting helplessly like a derelict. No. This was something worse. It was calculating, watching, testing. Relva's breath caught. "Prepare the defense cannons." His voice trembled. The officers around him froze in horror. "You heard me," he said. "This thing, this human warship, wasn't supposed to exist. If it doesn't respond, we must assume hostility." Tice swallowed hard and nodded, activating the grid. Across the outpost, massive railguns and plasma turrets powered up, their barrels locking onto the incoming ship. For a moment, tense, Silence filled the control room. Then, before a single shot could be fired, the Valkyrie responded. A transmission appeared on the main screen, heavily encrypted and ancient, so old that Union decryption software struggled to parse it. When finally deciphered, the message appeared. In an archaic yet chillingly clear dialect, "Stand down or be annihilated." The silence that followed was deafening. Tass's hands trembled over his console. "Sir, that's a threat." Relva's throat went dry. "That's a promise." As if to underline the warning, the Valkyrie powered up its weapons. The station's AI sent an immediate analysis of the warship's armaments. The numbers were staggering. Every gun on the Valkyrie, from the main cannon to secondary turrets, possessed enough firepower to destroy a Union battleship. The warship's engines flared. Its massive hull shifted subtly like a predator bearing. "Its fangs," Sir Tass said, voice shaking. "If we attack, we die." Relva knew it too. But what haunted him most was the thought that this wasn't the only human warship out there. This was just the beginning. Tension suffocated the Zari outpost. No one dared breathe as the Valkyrie hovered just beyond the defense grid's range. Its weapons primed, its presence a blade at their throats. Relva's mind raced. This was not how first contact was meant to unfold. There were protocols, carefully crafted diplomatic channels. The Galactic Union had spent centuries ensuring that misunderstandings never escalated into war. But humans didn't seem to care about protocols. "Run the message through every translation filter we have," Administrator Relva ordered, urgency sharpening his voice. "We need to be absolutely certain we're not misinterpreting it." Tass, the young communications officer, worked frantically at his console. Seconds later, the screen confirmed the worst. The message was verified. "Stand down or be annihilated." The words landed like an execution order. "Sir," one of the tactical officers whispered, voice trembling, "if they fire, we won't survive the first volley." Relva clenched his mandibles, the harsh truth sinking in. Union warships were built for endurance, not raw destructive power. Their design prioritized sustaining damage, wearing down enemies, and negotiating peace. The Valkyrie was something else entirely. It was a weapon meant to kill. "We have to stall," Relva said firmly. "Open a direct channel." Tars hesitated but complied. A heartbeat later, a transmission request was sent. For several agonizing moments, there was no response. Then the screen flickered to life. A human appeared. The Zari had studied images of the lost species before, but nothing could have prepared them for this. The figure before them was massive, broad-shouldered, clad in a dark military uniform. His face was partially scarred, his eyes cold and calculating. "This is Captain Elias Kane of the Valkyrie," the human said, his deep voice carrying the weight of a man who had given orders that ended lives. "Identify yourselves." Relva straightened, trying to steady his nerves. "I am Administrator Relva of the Zari Outpost, Zone 6, a station under Galactic Union jurisdiction. You are in restricted space. State your purpose." Kane stared, unblinking, unmoved. Then he leaned forward slightly, speaking slowly and deliberately. "You're wrong, Relva." Relva stiffened. "Excuse me?" "This isn't your space," Kane said flatly. It never was. A shiver ran through the control room. Relva forced himself to remain calm. "Humanity was declared extinct centuries ago. Your presence here is an anomaly, an impossibility. If there are more of your kind, the Union must be informed. We can establish peaceful relations." Kane let out a humorless laugh. "Peaceful?" His expression darkened. "You declared us extinct, and now you speak of peace." Relva swallowed hard. He wasn't sure where this was heading, but he didn't like it. "You don't understand what's happening, Administrator," Kane continued. "This isn't first contact. This isn't diplomacy. This isn't a misunderstanding. The Valkyries." Engines rumbled ominously. "This is a warning." The screens flickered again as new data poured in, signals coming from beyond the system. More ships, more human ships, an entire fleet. You wanted to forget about us, Kane said bitterly, but we didn't forget about you. Then the transmission cut out. The void of space shimmered as the first human warships emerged from the abyss, one after another like spectres, massive and heavily armored. Their dark hulls absorbed what little light reached them. The Valkyrie had been terrifying enough, but now dozens of warships loomed on the system's edges, each bristling with weaponry that made Union dreadnoughts look obsolete. Panic erupted in the outpost. Officers scrambled, reports flooded in. Automated defense systems struggled to calculate odds that now seemed meaningless. Relva's heart pounded as he watched the readings. This isn't possible, Tass stammered, fingers trembling over the controls. A fleet this size, the Union would have known. We would have detected them. They've been hiding, Relva murmured, realization dawning like a cold sun. They never went extinct. They've been waiting. Alarms flared again, a high-priority transmission from Union High Command. Relva barely hesitated before accepting it. The holographic image of Supreme Strategist Zal Tias flickered into view, a towering reptilian figure whose presence usually inspired calm, but not now. Administrator Relva. Zal's voice was tight, urgent. We've detected a massive surge of unidentified warships entering your sector. What the hell is going on? Relva swallowed hard. The humans, he said quietly. They're back. Zal's eyes narrowed. Repeat that. They're humans, sir, Relva confirmed. They never died out. They've returned, and they came prepared. Zal's expression darkened. How many? Relva glanced at the scanner readout, dreading the number. At least 60 capital-class warships so far. More incoming. He hesitated. And, sir, they're not using standard Union FTL drives. Their jumps are precise, almost surgical, as if they've mapped this space down to the molecule. Zal exhaled sharply. That means they've been observing us. A shiver rippled through the room. Then another voice cut through the tension, an incoming broadcast, not from the Valkyrie, but from the fleet itself. A single encoded transmission forced its way onto every active Union channel. A deep, unfamiliar voice declared, "We are the Terran Dominion. You are trespassing in our space." For the first time in Galactic Union history, the tables had turned. Relva felt a pit open in his stomach. The humans weren't asking for recognition. They were claiming what was once theirs. Zal Theus's gaze hardened. Administrator, listen carefully. You cannot let them advance beyond that sector. The Union will not tolerate it. But Relva was no longer listening. At that very moment, the largest human warship yet arrived, a behemoth easily the size of a Union command station. The scanners barely had time to register its immense scale before its name appeared in bold crimson letters across its hull. HSS Retribution. A name that carried only one meaning, vengeance. And then, the countdown to war truly began. The arrival of the HSS Retribution sent a wave of terror through the Zanari outpost. Every scanner, every automated defense system, every AI aboard the station screamed in protest at the sheer magnitude of the warship now looming before them. It wasn't just large, it was colossal. A fortress in space built for the sole purpose of war. Relva could barely tear his eyes away from the readings. The ship's energy output rivaled that of a small star. Its weapon systems were layered in redundancies so thick that even if half of them failed, it would still outgun the entire Union fleet in the sector. This isn't just a warship, he whispered. It's a statement. The command room was silent, save for the rhythmic beeping of alerts flooding the system. Then the Retribution spoke. A new transmission came through, overriding Union protocols with surgical precision. No encryption, no elaborate decryption. Just a raw, unfiltered signal blasting across all frequencies. A new human face appeared on the main screen. This one was older, harder. His uniform was black, adorned with a silver emblem over his chest. a symbol unknown to the Galactic Union, but unmistakably Terran. His eyes were the color of cold steel, his face marked with lines that spoke of a lifetime of war. "I am Grand Admiral Nathaniel Graves of the Terran Dominion," his voice deep and authoritative, carrying the weight of a man who had commanded fleets and shattered enemies. "You have one chance to surrender this sector and withdraw from Terran space." Relva felt his throat go dry. "This is Union territory. Has been for centuries." Graves didn't blink. "That's what you thought." The words hit like a hammer. Relva's hands clenched. "You eradicated us." Graves cut him off, his voice steady but simmering with rage. "Or so you believed. Your historians rewrote the truth. Your leaders told the galaxy that humanity was too violent to survive, that we destroyed ourselves." He leaned in closer, and for the first time Relva felt something he had never expected from a species long declared extinct: hatred. "But here's the reality," Graves continued. "We didn't die. We didn't fade into history. We endured. We rebuilt in the dark beyond your borders, waiting, watching." His lips curled slightly. "And now we're back." A cold sweat formed on Relva's brow. He forced himself to stand straighter. "If you attack a Union station, it will be considered an act of war." Graves's expression didn't change. "You think this isn't already war?" A silence thicker than the void itself fell over the command center. Then Graves delivered the final blow. "We know what you did." His voice lowered, quieter but infinitely more dangerous. "The forced sterilizations, the purges, the orbital bombings. The Union didn't let us die out. You exterminated us." Relva flinched. The truth was supposed to be buried, even among the highest-ranking officials in the Union. The details were classified beyond top secret. Humanity's extinction wasn't a natural event. It had been a campaign, a systematic erasure of an entire species deemed too dangerous for the balance of the galaxy. Somehow, against all odds, the humans had survived. And now they had returned for retribution. Graves tilted his head slightly. "So tell me, Administrator, after everything your people did, why should we show you mercy?" The question hung in the air, like a guillotine blade waiting to drop, and for the first time in his career, Administrator Relva had no answer. The silence in the control room was absolute. No one moved, no one breathed. The weight of the moment was crushing, and for the first time in his life, he felt utterly powerless. Administrator Arvay felt something alien, something utterly unnatural, seep into his core. Fear. Not the fear born from facing an unknown threat, but the fear of consequences. The Galactic Union had spent centuries burying the truth, convincing themselves that humanity was a necessary sacrifice, that their extinction had ensured lasting peace. But humanity hadn't been destroyed, they hadn't been forgotten, they had been waiting. And now the Terran Dominion stood at their doorstep, demanding justice. RVA swallowed hard, forcing himself to meet Admiral Graves's steely gaze. "If you attack this station, the Union will respond, our fleets will come. You may win this battle, but you cannot defeat the entire Union." Graves remained unmoved. "Is that what you tell yourselves? That your fleets will protect you? That your treaties and alliances will save you?" He leaned forward slightly. "You misunderstand the situation, Administrator. This isn't negotiation. This isn't diplomacy. You're not dealing with a minor rebellion or an upstart species trying to claim territory." His eyes were like cold iron. "You're dealing with us." A new alert flashed across the Znari command console. Taz let out a strangled gasp. "Sir, I don't understand. The human ships are moving in formation, but our systems can't track their exact positioning." Urvas snapped his head toward the display. It was true. The Valkyrie and the surrounding warships executed maneuvers so precise that Union targeting algorithms struggled to process them. Even the most advanced Union fleets relied on predictive models to anticipate movement. But the humans moved outside those models. RVA's breath hitched. They know our targeting limitations. Graves gave him a knowing look. How? Urva whispered, though he already knew the answer. The humans had studied them, learned everything, their tactics, their formations, their weaknesses, and now they were exploiting them. Graves' expression remained unreadable, but there was a cold calculation behind his gaze. He wasn't eager for war, but he wasn't afraid of it either. The Dominion had prepared for this moment. For centuries, RVA's claws dug into the desk. "Admiral," he said carefully, "you say this isn't a negotiation, but war will only bring more destruction. Whatever happened in the past, we can—" Graves cut him off, his voice icy. "There is no we. There is us, and you, the ones who survived, and the ones who tried to erase us." The station trembled as the Retribution activated its primary. Weapons, not firing, just charging, a warning, a reminder of the power it held. Graves leaned in, expression unreadable. "You have one last chance. Order your forces to retreat. Leave this sector, never return." Orvia knew he was out of options. His forces were hopelessly outmatched. The Union fleet was days away at best, and the humans had made their stance perfectly clear. When he finally spoke, his voice was low. "Stand down!" A hushed murmur spread through the command center. Taz looked at him in shock. "Sir, that's an order?" Arvar exhaled sharply. "Send the withdrawal command to all personnel. We're leaving." A flicker of something unreadable passed over Graves's face. Respect, contempt, it was impossible to say. "Wise choice," the Admiral said. The screen flickered off. Just like that, the Valkyrie and the Retribution held their fire. The Znari fleet disengaged. The station systems powered down, one by one. RVA sat heavily in his chair, the weight of the moment pressing down on him. The humans had won. And deep down, he knew this was only the beginning. The withdrawal was slow, methodical. The Znari, outpost powered down non-essential systems, recalled its patrol units and transmitted evacuation orders to all personnel. No one dared question it. The sheer presence of the human fleet ensured no reckless decisions would be made. From his command station, Arvar watched as the Valkyrie and the Retribution remained motionless, their weapons primed but silent. They weren't celebrating. They weren't gloating. They were simply waiting. Taz hesitated at his station. "Sir, we're abandoning a classified research facility. This sector contains decades of Union intelligence data. If the humans take it, they already know everything," Rava murmured, voice hollow. "They knew about us before we even knew they existed. Whatever we thought was secret is meaningless now." Taz swallowed. He wanted to argue but couldn't. The reality was clear. They weren't just facing survivors. They were facing an enemy who had spent centuries studying them, preparing for this exact moment. RVA turned back to the display, watching as his ship slowly aligned into a retreat formation. This would be the first official acknowledgement of human control over a Union sector in recorded history, a stain that would never be erased. The transmission lines remained open, as if the humans were watching, listening, waiting for something. "Send." "One last message," Ravar ordered. Taz nodded, fingers hovering over the interface. "What do we say?" Urdriva hesitated, then let out a slow breath. "We acknowledge your claim. The Union will—" He stopped himself. Saying accept was too much. Instead, he rephrased, "The Union will withdraw." A pause. Then the message was sent. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, from the Retribution, a single reply came through. Wise, that was it. Just one word. RVA felt his claws tighten. He knew what it meant. The humans weren't thanking them. They weren't negotiating. They were warning them. This wasn't mercy. It was pity. The final ship exited the sector, leaving behind only silence. The moment they crossed out of human-claimed space, the comms exploded with transmissions from Union High Command, demands for explanations, outrage, panic. RVA closed his eyes. He could already hear the debates that would rage in the coming days. Some would demand retaliation, others would insist on diplomacy. But one thing was clear. Humanity had returned, and this war had been over before it had even begun.